There you go. Incredible greetings. Incredible greetings. How is everyone? We were having some technical difficulties at 2 o'clock. I had to reset some stuff, but we're here, and we're going to talk about sizing and whether or not your designs are sized properly for printing. I'm pretty sure each of us at one point or another, whether it's like in the beginning of our journey with this creative industry and this customized industry, and maybe even sometimes now, you'll design something, especially when you're sending it off to a printer to have them print it out for you. You get it back, it's the wrong size, or they'll say it's the wrong size, or it's pixelated, things of that nature. Sizing is a really, really, really big part of our business and our industry. And it's important that we get it right in order to save money. Let's see. Hold on. It's saying we're having some technical difficulties over on the Book of the Faith. So let's see here. Okay, which one is this? 365 Creative Academy. Okay, so let's remove that and then add it back. Let's see if we can't get that to go live properly, because that's the most important one, because we're moving everything over to, yep, there we go. Now it's live. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Because that's where we're moving all of our content to, is 365 Creative Academy, and slowly transitioning from the private page. Well, not private, but like just the regular profile. So definitely need to make sure that that was working. Let's see here. Whoa. Let's go and okay, this is definitely not showing where it's supposed to. Edit the privacy, public, save. It's not used to me, I guess, going live at 2 o'clock and put it where it was only me. All right, so that has been rectified. And now let's go ahead and get this all shared out. Okay, let's get this all shared out. How are you guys doing? But anywho, like I said, sizing is one of the most critical parts of what we do, because if your sizing is off, it's going to throw everything else for your order, your project. It's going to throw it all off. All right. So we have to make sure that we get a good understanding of sizing. Now, I'm going to probably have to ask this question again because I'm waiting for the algorithm to do its thing. I just had to change the audience. But for those of you guys who are currently in the room, and if you are watching the playback, especially if you're watching the playback, want you to go ahead and engage in real time, even though you're watching the playback of, because we do look at the comments and we do engage back even on the playbacks. So the question to you guys is, have you ever run into an issue when it comes to sizing? And if you have, if you can give us a little bit of detail on that, we will greatly, greatly appreciate it. But have you had any experience with sizing and then it not coming out as you expected, especially when you're sending it to a printer? I see a lot of this happening with the large adhesive prints for backdrops and things, especially with the DTF, UV DTF transfers and things of that nature. I see that quite often. So I want to hear from you guys in the chat. Let me know if this is something that you have come across, or when you are simply designing, especially if you're designing from scratch. Some of us might be of a particular age, so we're a little further removed from school and the basic arithmetic. It's not that you don't know how to do math, but sometimes just coming off quickly, it can escape you, right? So have there been any situations for you guys where it's like, what size is supposed to be? Trying to understand the conversion from feet to inches to pixels. How many of you guys run into these issues? All right, so let me get over here to my page so that I can share this out. Okay, my page is not showing me the live video. Why is that? I do not even see this live video on 365 Creative Academy. It's like it's not showing that I'm live. I don't like that. All right, let's see. Yep. If for some reason 365 Creative Academy, it won't show the live, but that's okay. We're live on the other one. I'll just go and share from. It's forcing me to do Shaquille Lavelle today. It's okay. Um, okay, so let's come back over here and we're just going to have to share it from Shaquille Lavelle today because 365 Creative Academy is just not connecting with StreamYard today. So let's go here and then let's share. And we're going to share it to a couple of places. And then next and post. All right, there we go. Okay, let's see here. Hello, hello, hello. Incredible greetings. How art thou? Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, let's see over here. So we have some hello, hello, welcome. We do have some yes, yes. I have with the inches, sometimes it's smaller than I wanted. Okay, so we're going to address that. Now, as it's grad season right now, and this is something that does come up. There was someone who was in one of the groups I was in, and I ended up, she ended up posting the question, but she did get another graphic designer to help her. But I did ask her for the listing that she got where it was off because she tried to submit it to the printer and they stated that it was the wrong size and it needed to be X, Y, and Z. Now we're going to go over that because this is technically a Canva file and how you can change that. Whether you have Pro or if you don't have Pro, like how can you change that? So we're going to go over that. And then like if you're using like Silhouette Studio or if you're using Photoshop, like how do you know the right size to make your your artboard or your design page. So these are the things that we're going to go over in this lesson. Okay. So if you guys are ready, go ahead and put ready in the chat. If you have not done so already, drop a hey, how you doing? Let me know where you are watching from. Let me know what it is that you do in the creative space. Okay. So let me know, just say hello, let me know where you're from and what is it that you do in the creative space so that we can go ahead and get started. But I did have her send me the link. I know my girl, Lavish was, I forget, well, I know her, Talia Foster, but what's her Lavish something? And I know Javaya has a link for her. Now she has some of these and hers are sized the way that they should be. So this is like, I end up doing or choosing this one. I'm not going to say like who the person was on Etsy. There's a bunch of these. So if you happen to come across any of like the stack books or the cutout for the back, hopefully you'll remember, this video and come to it to make sure that it is sized properly. But there's a bunch of them over on Etsy. So that's where this came from. And the sizing was off. And this came from a real world situation with someone in a group that I'm in. And I was attempting to assist her, but she did get the help that she needed. But I'm always looking for a good teaching moment. And this one was that. Okay. All right. So first, hold on. I just realized you guys have been talking to my thumbnail. So hello. Let's get rid of that one. There we go. How y'all doing? Hold on, as Wendy would say. All right, so we're going to get into this. Let me do my introduction, and I'm going to not take up too much of your time, and we're going to get into this lesson. I am Shakia, the professor of HS Inc. 365. We are the home of the Honestly Speaking brand of products. We carry the absolute best summation paper and ink. Our summation paper allows you to submit as low as 365 degrees as fast as 30 seconds. No butcher paper required. Make sure that you head on over to our website. Get on our emailing list because time is running out for our paper. It might be temporary, but for now, we just have to kind of take a step back. So it won't be, well, it's still available to the general public, but you got to be on the list. Like the website will change a little bit. So you got to be on the list to get access to the most incredible summation paper and ink. So make sure you head over to the website, take advantage of the closeout overstock sale. And if you're watching this, before the end of May 2025, take advantage of that overstock sale. And I was going to say, get on the email list. There we go. And make sure that you guys are checking your emails. All right. We're also the home of Silaholics Anonymous. That's where most of you guys know me from. I have been teaching guys the art of mastering Silhouette Studio and using the Silhouette family of machines. I have 7 cameos, so I know a little something. I fancy it more so for the print and cut. That's what I got it for. But I cut cardstock and HTV, adhesive vinyl, sticker sheets, all sorts of things, with the Cameo machine. So feel free to check out our videos, connect with us over on our Facebook page, drop your questions and things of that nature. Join our Facebook group. And then last but not least, 365 Creative Academy. That is where we help you to completely unlock your creativity what the heck is wrong with my mouth today? In a wide variety of classes and trainings. Jesus. I mean, everything from just designing basics, just understanding how design works. We have classes dedicated for memorial designing, party favor, business, pricing. We have our creative lounge, our creative business accelerator program that meets tonight. So go ahead, check that out. And all the classes that we have available, you can enroll on our main site and earn rewards points and use Sezzle for any of those higher cost programs. Or, go ahead and fill your card up with a whole bunch of classes and then go ahead and use Sezzle, that buy now, pay later. And then over on our Academy site, it has a few other options for you, such as Klarna, Afterpay, and Affirm. So if you're looking to use any of those to enroll in any of our classes and programs, head on over to the Academy site, directly to it, and you can see all of those payment options. All right. So now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's go ahead and jump into this, okay? All right, so we are going to, actually, I'm gonna kind of come off of this one. I'm trying to think, do I want to start in Silhouette or do I want to start in Canva? Let's start in Canva. All right, so we're going to come over here and we're going to come to this set of books. Now, this particular file was advertised for a 4 foot wide by 8 feet tall. So 4 feet wide by 8 feet tall is what this was advertised as. Okay. So I'm going to come over here real quick because we did put this out. We had a couple posts going out. There is a link in the description if you would like to go ahead and get your free copy of the measurement conversion chart. So I'm going to zoom in because I just kind of cut out some of the important numbers. So let's say right here, right? So 4 feet and 8 feet. The equivalent of that is going to be 48 inches. For 4 feet, the equivalent of 8 feet is going to be 96 inches. Now, we're often, and I would say taught, it's often shoved down our throats and like shoved in our faces, 300 DPI, 300 DPI, 300 DPI, 300 DPI. I don't know why. Like for some reason, everyone just seems to just say 300 DPI, 300, and that's not always the case. Like there are going to be times where you need it to be in smaller DPIs because of like the size that it makes the file, as well as how it's going to be presented. So of course, printing, they will say 300 DPI, especially if you're going to need to like size it up and things of that nature. When you're talking about like things that's going to be just like strictly digital, you don't have to do 300 DPI, guys. If you did not know, Canva defaults to 96 DPI. Like that is what, like whenever you put in any type of pixel size, it is going to base it off of 96 DPI. How many of you guys did not know that? So put did not know in the chat. If you did not know that you cannot set a Canva design to 300 DPI. Let me know in the chat if you knew or did not know that. Okay, so I'm guessing everyone knew that because I asked, put in the chat if you did not know. So I'm guessing everyone that's watching right now already knew that when it comes to Canva, the default setting, no matter what you're putting in as far as your measurements, is 96 DPI. Okay, so someone says, I did not know that. Okay, so I have someone over here that says they didn't know that, but everyone on this feed, you guys knew that. Okay, so the equivalent of 4 feet at 96 DPI is 4,608 pixels. If it was set at 300 DPI, that is 14,400. To find out or figure out what the pixel equivalent is for any design, you are going to take that design in inches and multiply it by whatever that DPI is. So it's going to be important to know not just the feet, you have to know the inches conversion in order to figure out that pixel size. That DPI is more so like a print type of thing. But when you're sizing it and you're creating it, it's actually PPI, which is like pixel per inch. And you're setting that like in Photoshop. So I opened that up just so that you guys can see. Let me bring this back over. Like in a program like Photoshop, Illustrator, when you go to create a new file, and I'm going to have to bring this over. Once you go to like, even if you're in inches, it'll ask you what you want the resolution to be, right? So you can set that resolution even if you're not using pixels. That's just going to determine how many of those small squares are in a 1 inch area. If it's going to be 96 that makes up 1 inch, if it's going to be 100, 200, 300, 72, 40, whatever it is, 1 inch. So a 1 inch by 1 inch box has a bunch of smaller squares in it. The more pixels, like those little squares, the smoother and the cleaner it will look. Okay. So that's why they kind of say to use that. But if you're going to design, let's say in 100 DPI, and you're doing it at scale, you will still have smooth lines. The issue may come in like once you now go blow this up, the middle part will most likely still look pretty good, right? It's going to be those end pieces, or if you have text, that is when you start to see like almost like a stagger of those outside pixels, and it doesn't look like a straight line. All right. Especially on things that are curved, like you can literally start to see those. And you have a little bit of blurriness, and it's not as super sharp when you're blowing it up. But if you were to design something at scale and it's only 100 DPI, it will still look just as good as taking it to 300. And if your design is really, really big, you won't be able to do 300 because it's going to make that file too big. You won't be able to share that, send that. It's going to take up so much space on your computer, where you guys are like, oh, I don't have that many designs. I'm not saving that much, but your hard drive space seems to just be depleting and depleting and depleting at like a really, really fast rate. It is because you are designing these files to scale and at 300 DPI, so it's taking up too much space. You guys are with me? Okay, so if I go to pixels, it will give me the equivalent of this in pixels. So 11 times 300 is 3,300. So they're the same exact size. So if I were to design this in this pixel at 300, if I were to then go and just open this file up somewhere, and it's like an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, it's going to print perfectly to an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper because proportionately it is that size. Hopefully that makes sense. If it doesn't, let me know in the chat if you need some clarification. Okay. So now we're going to head back over to Canva. Now, if you were to go and design something at 96 DPI, because maybe it's just going to be digital, you don't have to do 300 because it's meant to be exclusively for digital purposes. You would design this, like you would set your design page or alter your design page size to, like I said, 4,608 and then 9,216. If you wanted it to be at 300 DPI at 4 by 8, you're going to be in this range. Now, we can do for 300 DPI, but like I said, if you go scale plus the 300, it is going to make that file way too big, especially if you have a lot of graphics, a lot of text. The more things that you add to this, the more data, the bigger you're making this file. What most will recommend that you do is to cut the size down to half or even 25% if it's something that's going to be really, really big, and you still want to create it in the 300 DPI size. So that way, when they blow it up, it's not going to be distorted. So if I wanted to, like, let's say, especially if you have like a lot of graphics and you try and send it and they're like, this file is too big, right? You got to then cut it down. So you can go 50%. 50% of 4 feet, right, would be 24 inches. And the equivalent of that in 300 DPI would be 7,200 and then 1440. But if they say that that is too big, then you would need to design it at 25%. Now, remember, the proportions on it, the dimensions and the proportions, the scale of it is going to still be 4 by 8. So although they're going to get it at a much smaller size, when they go in their system and then they just they change theirs, or they're going to hit, take it up basically 75% or whatever, like to fit 4 by 8, and they're going to send it that way and tell their printer to print this at 4 feet or really like 48 by 96. Everything is going to fit. It's not going to be off. It is going to perfectly size, even though you are making it 25% less. It just has to be to scale. Okay. So that means, like, if you were saving it or creating your Canva page or your Photoshop or your Silhouette page, you would make it 12 by 24 because that's going to be the equivalent. Or you would make, if whatever you're designing in requires pixels, you're going to do 3,600 by 7,200. Okay, so that's the equivalent of that. Now, I want to go over to this particular file here. It's supposed to be 4 by 8, right? 4 feet by 8 feet, 46 inches or 96. If you ever want to see what size something is designed in, all you have to do is go to file. So let me get you guys to put that in the chat. Put file in the chat. So I'll make sure that you understand where I'm sending you to. Because just in case you can't see my screen, put file in the chat. Okay, so we see it here, file, F-I-L-E, file. Okay, so there we go, file in the chat. So that's where you're going to go at. Once you are here, right here at the top, right under the name of the file, and it'll tell you like who it's by, it's going to give you the size. This says 40 inches by 60. 40 inches by 60. Is that anywhere near 48 by 96? So see, we should be at 48 and 96. Might be a little bit off, you know, like the 40, right? But that's only 4 inches off. That 60 to 96, that is not proportional at all. So it's not to say that you cannot use these files, but you need to know how to read them as soon as you open it to minimize frustrations. It's like, okay, yeah, they sent it to me wrong, but going forward from watching this video, it won't be as frustrating anymore, provided that you're using the programs that I use, I'm going to show, where you are able to change that and convert that. Okay. So she said, the missus uses Canva and sends me terribly sized files to touch up for her. And look, because they will get them from groups, they will get them from Etsy and places like that, Creative Fabrica, and they're being created by a lot of people who are not actual designers and they don't know what the heck they're doing. Someone just told them, oh my God, that was so nice. They're looking at what's popular and they want to get that digital money because it is promoted right now. Get to the digital bag, get to the digital bag. So everybody and their mama wants to create something and be the person to get it out there in the public, put it in the groups, put it on their Etsy and be able to sell it. But they're not always set up correctly because they're not truly graphic designers and they're not trying to take the time to understand sizing. Okay. But this is nowhere near being the right size. I'm going to show you the equivalent of this in Silhouette Studio. So I'm going to make a box and we're going to go ahead and fill this in with some color. I'm going to come over here to the transform. We're going to go to size. We're going to unlock this and I'm going to make my width 48 by 96. Okay. So this is the equivalent of 4 feet by 8 feet. I'm going to make a duplicate of this. We will change the color. And I'm going to make this 40 by 60. I'm going to line them up. That's a really, really, really big difference, right? If I take this and I resize this to reach the edge at 48, or I can even come over here, I'll lock this in place and oops, hold on. I hate when it does that. I'll make this 48. I hate when it does that. It's a glitch in Silhouette Studio. When you unlock it, it gives you the wrong size. So I'm just going to try my best to get it as close to 48 as possible. Okay. But look at all of this space you are now missing. You cannot force this file that was this size, even if you change it into pixels, you cannot force it from 40 by 60 to be the equivalent of 48 by 96, which is 4 by 8. Y'all with me? Is this making some things click so far? Are we having some aha moments yet? Or we got to keep going for those aha moments? All right, so I'm going to come back to the Canva file. Which one is it? Is it this one? Yeah, it's this one. Now you can do one of two things. If you have Pro, you can come over here to resize, and you're going to make this the proper equivalent. So let's say I go to custom size. You can either put the width in here, right? So put the proper one. We're going to go 48 by 96. Oh, I forgot. Canva does not allow you to go to 96. Their max is 83.328. So what we will need to do is utilize this very useful tool that the link is in the description. Go to the description, scoop up your conversion chart before there's a cost to it. Right now, it is free to the first 100 people who go grab it. Okay. So I'm going to come back to my conversion. I cannot go over 83. That means I have to now go down to a smaller size that is the equivalent of that 96. So if I were to break this down in half, I would be at 24 by 48. This is within those parameters, right? So I can do 50% of the size. So we're going to come over here and we're going to go 24 by 48. We don't get that error anymore. Okay. And I'm going to tell this to, okay, there we go. I can either just resize this one, but I don't want it I don't want to be destructive to this particular file because I'm going to use it for another teaching. So we're not going to destruct this one. I'm just going to go copy and resize. So it's going to go ahead, make the copy. We're going to open up this one. Bam, right? Now, at this size, look at the difference, right? So we go and we pull this down here. If you were looking for this to be 8 feet behind someone, right, you're not going to get that. This is the rest of the 8 feet. This is going to be much, much shorter because these particular books were not designed to proportionately fit 4 feet by 8 feet. Okay, hold on one second, y'all. Sorry, somebody came in here tried to put me in check because I took his plant out the window to save it because it was getting too much sun. It was a little too hot and it was starting to burn. So, okay. So, no, what was I saying? He threw me all off. Oh, yeah. It's not going to fit, right? I am going to, I'm going to go ahead and just duplicate this again to not be destructive to the like the one that's there. So if I take all of these and I extend it out to where the very, like the longest one goes to 8, look at how I'm losing the one on the side. So the way that these were designed and the way that they were sized, you would never be able to make these 4 books at this particular, at like where each book is sized to this particular size. You would not be able to make them 8 feet and have all 4 books. Am I making sense? You would not be able to. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to open back up that original file. Where'd you go? Okay, so we're going to open this back up. If you do not have Canva Pro to just hit the resize, Canva had a new update, which we have had some amazing classes going over the updates. If you are interested in attending one of the classes for the Canva updates, put Canva update in the chat, even if you're watching the playback of it. And we also have our Understanding Canva 101 class, which the description is in the link is in the description. So Canva has this amazing new update where if you click on add page, and now everyone has access to it. When it first dropped, only the first 1 million people had access. Now it has defaulted to where everyone has this version of Canva. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, not plus, I'm sorry. You're going to go to the drop down because we have to set the size. You're going to go to more, you're going to go custom size, and we're going to make this 24 by 48. Oh, come on. We have to make sure we change it to inches first. 24 by 48, and then create new page. And then I'm going to have to come over here, select everything. We're going to copy it, come over here and paste. Uh-oh. Hold on. I always forget. I got to technically move this away from the edge, which I teach about that in my Canva class. Copy, and why are you not doing the rest of it? Hold on. What are you doing? Control C, copy. There we go. I'm like, what the world? Okay, so now this all pasted over here. It's never going to give me proportional. You can do it this way to kind of see that it's not going to be proportional. It fills it out. It goes as far as it can for the width, but the height will never be there. Okay. You would need to take this one up. Actually, we can go and select all of the books themselves, like those rectangles, and I would adjust this up to get where the longest one is at 8 feet. And then these will just fall where they were based off of the original design. And then we're going to take all of these little pieces here. And this part I don't like about Canva, trying to get in there and get all those little pieces. Okay. And we're going to hold down Shift, and we're just going to move those up. It's probably going to be about there. I'm going to go ahead and just delete those because those were the extra ones that I did. Just kind of not trying to change the original color. And okay, so these are a little bit off. How I'm going to figure out exactly where this needs to be at, here is a little pro tip, for y'all. And I'm going to just come over here, grab a shape. Uh-oh, come on, elements. Hello, add the shape to the thing. Okay, there we go. I'm just going to make this yellow just so I can see it. And I'm going to put it right here, bring it down to the bottom. And then I'm going to move this to the top. And then I'm going to select all of these. Let me see. Okay, I'm going to select them manually. I wish this was a silhouette and I can just select and deselect. I'm going to select all of these manually and move it up. Now, this is the only one that's a little bit off, which means this wasn't set the same way as the other ones down at the bottom. So we're just going to go like that. Now, this would be 4 feet by 8 feet, but that also now means you would need to move your text. You could either use different fonts, you can extend it. For some of them, you can't really make it bigger. So like the one that says the professor, I could make this bigger now, and it will take up more of that spine. The 365 like CA, like before I could only put CA. If I wanted to now write 365 Creative Academy, I could probably fit that in there now. If I just make this bigger, It's only so big that I can make it. I'm still going to have a lot of space on the sides. The alumni status, because of the way that it is, and it is a really tall, it has really tall and hanging elements and characters, should I say. I can't make this any bigger. It's just going to have to sit in the center as it is. Now, this one, we could, make it just a little bit bigger to take up more space. We can work on like the character spacing to make it take up more space. So because we've now changed this, we've changed the proportions of it, the fonts and things are now not as proportional as it was before. So if we go and we look at it here, you don't have a lot of space between the elements. And then the professor is really, really close to the edges here. Whereas on this one, it's a little bit different. But that is how you would have to adjust something like this. Okay. You would have to make manual adjustments to make it fit the proper proportions. Y'all with me? You still with me? You still rocking with me? So I did use Canva Pro for the resize. That is a Canva Pro feature, but you can also use and just create a new page, and then you would have to copy and paste everything over. But there is a certain way that you have to kind of copy and paste it. And it is better if you're doing that from a computer, because baby, trying to do that from a mobile device is a pain in the butt. If you need to resize and you're mainly using a mobile device, hunty, you need Canva Pro, because going in there and trying to select on individual things, because you cannot drag and select from the mobile device, you have to click and then go select multiple, or I think it says select multiple, and then you have to click on each individual thing that you want to be a part of that selection in order to be able to copy and paste it into another design page that's in the same like on the same one, because on the mobile app, you can't have different tabs like you could from a computer. Okay. So there's that. Now, really, no matter what you now save this as, it is going to be proportional. No matter what it's saved as, it will be proportional. Now, this is where I take slight issue sometimes when it comes to certain printers. All right. Give me a second. I have to remember, I got to go to my notes where she wrote, well, I wrote it down from what they asked. Okay, hold on. Okay, hold on. I did this wrong. Wait 1 second. Okay, why won't it let me? Okay, here it is. Okay, so they wanted the size that they said to put it in as the printer, right? Was, I'm going to just put it over here. They asked for it to be in 4,584 by 9,192. Okay. If we go to our calculator, okay, let me bring them a calculator. and we go, let's say, 4584 divided by, it's supposed to be 96, right? So that is only 40, like, so we did, so that would be the equivalent of like 47 DPI, because it's supposed to be 8 feet. If I go back over here, remember, for 8 feet, it would be, I'm sorry, did I do the right one? No, that was supposed to be the one for 4 feet. I did that one. I did the calculation on that one wrong. But I'll just kind of come here just for you to see. At 96 DPI, 8 feet would be 9,216, right? That's at 96. At 300, 2,800. At 25%, it would be 72. Even at 300 DPI, that would be 72 pixels, 72,000 pixels. Well, here, where are we at? They said 9,192. That isn't really equivalent. I mean, like, that would be like a really, really weird size, because like even here at 96, at 8 feet and at 96 DPI, this is off. I just realized that this right here is off. Oh, you know why? This was the one I added in and I forgot to change it. This is off, because that's definitely not the equivalent. It should be all of this should be double. This is the 100. I was like, wait a minute, why am I seeing 2 of those there? That means I have, so if anybody has already gotten this, I have to now update it, because I just realized that when I put the 200 in, it didn't update to the right numbers. So I have to go change that. But 92, right? So that's still not 9192. That would be 9216. So it's not going to be the equivalent. So I want you guys to know this information, so that when you go to a print shop and they're giving you these sizes, you can verify for yourself if that is the size, because you're not going to take ownership of it, right? Or they may not know the size that you really wanted. Maybe they were giving them the pixel size based off of it being technically 40 inches by 60 inches. So now you're going to get this back, and it's like, wait, this was not the right size. It's technically not our responsibility as a printer when we are not designing it, and you simply want to send us something to have us print it out. You know, we're not always, like, some people won't even kind of come back and let you know, okay, hey, we need it at this and size. We're going to print it as is based off of what you ordered. So if they do take the time to send something back, I want you to be equipped to look at that and make sure that they know what the hell they're talking about. Because had she just submitted that as is, when she got that print back, it was still not going to be correct. And she would have been upset. And that print shop wasn't going to take ownership of it. They weren't going to issue a refund or send out a corrected one, because that is on you to make sure that your dimensions are correct, no matter what they say to you. Make sense? All right, so this next one was also supposed to be 4 feet by 8 feet, is how it was advertised. Now, if we come here, we're not quite at, remember, one, this is only 60 inches in height and 40 inches wide. I'm going to come here and we're just going to add a page. So this is now 4 feet by 8 feet. Okay. I'm going to take this design. We're going to copy. We're going to come over here. We're going to, now, why do you keep doing that? Okay, hold on. Let me grab all of it and let me just do keyboard shortcuts. Control C, copy. Control V, paste. There we go. So now as I extend this, I am now completely at 8 feet wide, 96 inches across. That's the equivalent of that. I'm sorry, I keep saying 8. 4 feet wide, 48 inches across. There is no way that this proportionally, and in Canva, you cannot stretch anything out, right? Proportionally, though, there is no way that this would ever fit 8 feet without being stretched and skewed, without being distorted, because this was not designed. They did not create their design page at 4x8 and proceed to design. I don't know where they got the measurements from based off of how they're advertising it, but they did not do this. When you are going to create something and you're like, this is going to be 4x8, you have to then create your design page in the equivalent of 4 feet by 8 feet so that you can create, like, bring this up, and then this would have to go up. This would have to go up. It changes the shape slightly. It will change kind of like how your picture is, or you can just make it bigger, but then it will, like in this case, it will cut off more of my arms. But this is now 4 feet by 8 feet. This is a much narrow backdrop than how it was before. Before, it looked a little bit more stubby, but now because we've elongated, it's going to appear to be more narrow. It is important for you to understand your measurement and create your design page in that proportion, especially if you're doing something, doing a design in something like Canva. Now, Silhouette Studio would allow me to create and design before I choose what size I wanted it to be. So let's say we have this Sonic. So when I brought this in, it was really small. And let's just say, for the sake of this, we're going to go 8.5 by 11. So if I brought this in, and you know what? I will bring in, don't ask me why. Don't ask me why it came in that small. I don't even know what the heck movie you had going on. But this is really, really small, right? Now I'm just going to cut this down as close. Actually, no, this one I can trace and detach, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to put a box, and I'm just going to crop this down as close to this as possible. All right, so boom, right there. And I'm just going to go crop, because if I just do this as a regular print, I don't need to do trace and detach. All right, so this came in really small. Now I'm able to, I blew it up. It's now 22. So let's say I wanted this to be 36 inches in height. So I'm going to go ahead, get this as close to 36 inches. This lets me know that the equivalent of this at 36 inches is only 18.6. So I could not make this, oh, I want it to be 36 by 36. Well, 36 by 36, this how this bad boy gonna look. Okay, is that what we want? Is this the look that we will be going for? Or do we want it to just be sized proportionately? So we can't do 36 by 36. We can't do 36 by 24. He still look kind of stretched out. Now, some people might be okay. They're like, oh, well, it's not that bad. It's not that different. And he looks bigger, right? So the height is technically still the same, but we have stretched him out a little bit. It's not how he should technically look at 24 inches. If you wanted to be 24 inches, it would end up being 47 and a half, give or take, in height. And you see how the face is not stretched. I mean, this, like I said, the average person may not care. They may not care that his face is just a little bit stretched out because he just appears bigger, even though these two are the same size. Now, once we know what size we want, right? Even if we have to then shrink it down, but Silhouette Studio will allow you to go in. We would go to, come on, transform. The heck, transform. And when we go to scale, I can take this down 50%. It's going to give me the equivalent of it at 50%. And then when I send it off, I will tell them that I want it to be blown up. But I'm going to take it back. And so I want to save this as a JPEG or a PNG so that when they open it up and I say, hey, make this 36 inches in height, it doesn't matter the width. They're going to make this 36 inches. And yes, I say if their printer was a 54-inch printer, of course, it's not going to take up the entire space, but it's going to come in proportionally. There's no extra space to it. There's no negative space. It's going to come in proportionally. So I'm going to look at this and say, okay, 35.95, and then this is like 18.652. Can't put those numbers in exactly, but I would come here. My width would be 18.652. Let's see, it might have done it exactly. And then 35.953. I'm going to center that. Oh, so it didn't let me do it even with those extra decimals. I'm going to save this. Now I could go and just make it 36. So if I go 36, I'm gonna try and get it because it's at 35. So I'm gonna try and get this right to 36 or as close as I possibly can, like maybe like right up under it. Okay, 35.999, perfect. So 36, and then my width now becomes 18.676. So 18.676. And then I'm going to center it. So this program or a program like Photoshop would allow you, because in Photoshop, you would kind of create, and then once you change the canvas size, you can then resize it, or you'll have your image, you'll trim everything away and then tell it to resize the image. And once you go in and put the proportions in, you won't have negative space. Well, you cannot do that in a program like Canva. And a lot of you guys are starting to migrate over to Canva and use that as your primary design software, or you're getting templates and then you're kind of upset. You're wasting money. Your prints are off when you go to print it, right? The other thing that you have to know is when it comes to sizing is going to be like they have a set size. So I'm seeing this a lot with like the prints from CVS and Walgreens and all of those different things where they are, was it like 16 by 20? Right? So you would have to then resize your image. And if you want it to max out to the 20, you would do that, but that means it's only 10 inches. Now you might be able to, if you finesse this just right, let's see, can we fit 2 on here? If we flip it, and maybe not. I mean, you probably can do like a tabletop one and then one for like a centerpiece, well, a standee, and then like a centerpiece if you play around with it enough. But you have to create it in the right proportions for the print page. So many of you guys are like designing it and you're making it too big. And then when they go and size it, like I told you, most print shops, they're not going to question what size you have this as. Whatever you send it to me as, I'm going to hit print. So if you send me something and it's supposed to be on 16 by 20, but you sent it as just this right here, once I go and size it, I'm just going to size this to 20 inches and you're just going to see it, it's not going to fill it all in. This happened with the TV trays. If you're wanting a TV tray and they were 14 by 19 or something like that, 14 and a half by 19. I don't know, it was 14 by 19, 14 and a half by 19. But you had this, but they designed it like in Canva as just 14 by 19. And then when the print company went to go print it out, they're going to max it out to the 16 by 20. So now it's too big. So you were supposed to make it whatever size you're wanting it to be, make your design page whatever size print that that's like, it's not a size print, it's a size paper or the size sheet they're going to put it into on their system, because they're not doing an unlimited size. They're not doing it by like, your print is calculated by the inch or by the foot. They're going to take your design and just drop it into a template that's 16 by, or like, not quite a template, but like in a sizing thing for their printer that's just for 16 by 20, and they're just going to print it out. You have to send it to them at your right size in the middle of a page that's 16 by 20 or 24, whatever that size is at CVS or Walgreens, and then resave that with the negative space around it so that when you get it, that measurement in the middle is correct. Whew, mouthful. I know that was a lot. If you're not, if you're still unclear, you're like, okay, wait, can you run that back? Let me know, because I know that was a lot. So I'll wait for your responses. Hopefully, you have seen the value of having access to a conversion chart, and it just makes your life so much easier, where you can literally look at it and go straight to whether you are designing in feet first or you're designing in inches, or let's say you get a design and it is in pixels. You can kind of see like the general pixel size of where like these are, and just kind of figure out what that size would be. Or like I said, if you like, you can do the conversion backwards to figure out like what the sizes is in inches, or simply just change it. But that pixel size, like, okay, let me show you. So you see how we have, so let's say I want to go off of 96. Let's say 1728, and then what's one that has like 17 over here? Ooh, really none of these. I mean, this one right here is like 18. I mean, that's like 300. I should probably I'll do the one for my people, and I'll give you like some dimensions in the middle, but these are normally your typical ones. Well, really here, I only did this one because that's what Canva defaults to. All right. So don't see any kind of run that back. So that means you guys all understand. Cools. In the description is the link to get the conversion chart. As of right now, it is free for the first 100 people to scoop it up. Okay. If you're watching this in the future, you click on it, and if it happens to not say free, it's still going to be worth the value that's on there for your sanity. And I want you to print it out. You need to have it like in your journal, like your design Bible, your design journal. If you don't have one, you need to start one that has like standard measurements and things. You just need to have a reference book, guys. You need to have a reference, so you don't always have to go and like search for the file. You have a book that has all of these important things, your measurements, your this, that, and the third, and you're just going to reference that. Okay. I will drop it in the chat as well. All right. So you guys can get your hands on this conversion chart. Okay, let's see here. I am new. What do you mean negative space around? Okay, I'll break that one down. Good question. Let's see. So the canvas has to be the size you want for your design. Okay, so those two questions kind of go hand in hand. All right, I'm going to go to Silhouette Studio for this. So let's say, okay, how can I say this? If I wanted this Sonic, right? Like I wanted this particular image, and I want this to be the exact size without having negative space around it. So someone asks, what is negative space? If someone was to create this design page at, let's just say, because it's 20 inches in height. So let's say this was designed at, no, I don't like that. So let's go 36 by 36, 36 by 36. Okay. Because I just want to throw this in the middle. So if I go and I put this in the middle of this box and it's 36 by 36, and I go and I save this, all of this area here is negative space. So some people will go and it's like, okay, well, I saved it at 36 by, I saved it at 3 feet by 3 feet. But when I got it, it was 3 feet by only 18 inches. Yes, because that is the proportional size. The file size, the JPEG size, like if I was to take it and open it up somewhere else, yes, it's going to be 36 inches wide. But it doesn't mean that my graphics is that wide. This is why we have to always like trace and detach things down. If you're in Photoshop, you then have to trim it and remove the extra pixels, things of that nature. Let me see if I can find this Sonic image again. Supersonic clip art. Let's see. Okay, I think this is it right here. So I'm going to bring this over here. Okay. So I'm going to just, I think I have the original saved. I don't think I need to do this. Okay. So I do have the original saved. I'm going to go over here to Photoshop. We're going to close this. I'm going to go File, Open. I'm going to go to Downloads. And we're going to open up this bad boy right here. Okay, so there's negative space around it. Now it does have kind of like a little glow around it. If I go, come on, stop it. Trim. And I'm going to tell it to remove transparent pixels. Now, this one is okay, let me see. This is a little bit different because it does have, I'm not sure, you guys probably can't really tell. I'm going to add a solid color. I'll just add this one behind it. So you see how it it's flaring out. I want to change this. Let's go. Let me see if I go white. Okay, I guess you can see it better on the white. I know it's very, very faint, but here pixels are traveling out, which is why this is not like a pure white. Actually, you know what? Let me go back over here again because it's actually not pure white. I just realized that's a blue. So let's go over here and make that a pure white. Okay. So if you look in here, it looks pretty white. I mean, you have some color like right here, but as you come like here, it's not fully white. It's because the softened or feathered out pixels are taking up that space. So even though it's really light color is in that area. So it did remove, some pixels here at the top. On the back side, it's going to like the last pixel from the glow around his spikes in the back. And then, of course, where the glow is on his feet. But this would be considered negative space. I don't think I'll be able to, because I don't think that was a JPEG image. So I don't think that, oh no, it did let me open it. Okay, nope, failed to download. So I can't put that image on Remove BG because it is a web file, not like a JPEG file. And Remove BG tells you it has to be a JPEG file. So I'm going to, I want it without the stuff on it though. Let me see, File, Open. Okay, let's do it off of this one. Okay, so I'm going to open this one. Perfect. Because this doesn't have all of that other stuff around it. So now when someone opens, they have all this extra stuff. If they were to look at the size of this, it's not the true size. I'm going to go image. I'm going to go trim, and then I'm going to trim all the pixels. Now it would be to the size. So if I were to send this to someone, they would be able to take this. And if I say, okay, I want this image to be 24 inches in height. As long as they go in and type in 24, it's going to give you the height. The width will automatically adjust to the proper size. So I want this to be designed. This is how JPEGs and PNGs should be designed. People don't always do that. They start off with this big old square, this big old space. They put the design in the middle. They save it. And then all that stuff around it, it's either going to be transparent or it's going to be filled with white or like a solid color, because that is negative space, space that doesn't have any pixels to it, and it's going to affect the size. So I'm going to come back over here. I'm going to drag and drop that same file over here. I don't know why everything coming in small. So you'll see this size. I'm just going to make a duplicate. We'll go over here, select trace area, place the box. This is going to be the equivalent of trimming it down, but it also will contour it. So I'm just going to take this up, and I'm going to go trace and detach. While that's tracing detachment, I'm going to finish answering the other part. Okay, no, there it is. So we will move this. They look the same. If I click here, it says that this size is 14.048 by 10.994. But if I click on this one, it is only 11.603 by 7.756. Very big difference. If I wanted this image to be at scale and its proper size, then I would design, or I would set my design page to fit that size, so that when it comes in, so I'm going to take this one and we're going to go 7.756 and then 11.603. I'm going to center that. I will go ahead and save it. File, save as, save to hard drive. We're going to go ahead and save that as, even though I never save as a PNG, I'm just going to do it for now. Actually, I'm going to do it as a JPEG so you can see the size of it. So I'm going to save it as a JPEG, delete this Sonic. Oh, wait, did I choose JPEG? Okay, I did. All right. So if I take this to 100, I'm just going to put it in 100. Remember, this was 7.756, so 7.76. So times 100 is 776. This was 1160. That is, you'll move the decimal. It's basically just remove the decimal. So that would be, if I save this, I will be saving at, it's still the same size, the same equivalent. It would just be at 100 DPI. It won't be as sharp if I then go and blow this up. Now, if I wanted to take this to 300, I could. And that way, when I blow it up, it's not going to be as pixelated. But I'm not going to save it that size. I'm just going to do 100, save. Okay. And then I'm going to go File, Merge, and I'm going to bring this back in. It is the same exact size as this. Yes, it has a white background around it, but it is the exact same size. Whereas this one says 14.048, this one says 11.60. which is what we had over here. So now let's say I go and I'm sending it to someone and I'm like, I want this to be 24 inches tall. They will be able to go in and they're just going to make this 24 inches tall. And it's going to be, I hate when it does that. It's going to be 16 inches wide. Now, the flip side of that is, and let me go back. If I was designing something like these backgrounds, you want to design this to scale. You want to design this to scale. Something like these backgrounds and stuff. Because if a company has a really large format printer, they're not printing just your stuff, okay? They're not going to know the size that you need this printed at because you don't have it sized properly. When they have a 54 inch wide, your little 4 feet, well, they have like a, let's say, well, yours is like 36, whatever, and they have a 8-foot wide printer. If they can put multiple jobs on there, trust and believe they're going to do that to save on printing, so time and material and ink. They might have your job, somebody else's job. If they had 3 people send them this and they can fit 3 across, all 3 of y'all joints going to get printed at the same time. So it's important that it is to the correct size, like the correct size you want it printed at. So they can just size it and then they're going to put it on their design page when they're setting it up, and they're just going to arrange all of them. Right? Now, if you are going to design something and they're giving you a specific size, i.e. the posters, the adhesive sheets from CVS, or if let's say you needed a 18 by 24 inch yard sign print, or you need an 18 by 24 inch yard sign print, but the sizing is 20 by 36. You need to make your design page 20 by 36 because that is their standard size. They're putting a sheet of, let's say, a sheet of paper in there that's 24 by 36, even though like they're printing from a roll, but that's how they are calculating how many prints they can get out of this roll. They know that they're going to cut that off at, maybe like a half an inch bigger than that size, but that is their standard size. They're probably going to have a template set up. They're just going to take your design, drop it into it. It's just going to resize it because this is their standard print size. If you are doing it that way, you have to take your design. It doesn't matter how big it is. If they tell me that if I'm going to go and I'm going to order this, I think it's like 16 by 20. So let's say I'm going to order this 16 by 20 inch sheet, but I only need this big because they don't have a size that's smaller. Like I just need one of him for a centerpiece, but I need him to be just 12 inches tall. Guess what? You're going to make your design 12 inches, but your design page needs to be 16 by 20. That way, when they go and they put that in there, he is going to remain the proper size. Because if you send it just like this, when they print it, they're going to blow it up and it's going to end up being 20 inches in height. Make sense? You guys understand? I want to make sure that you guys are very clear. Short form content, you don't get this level of explanation and breakdown. So hopefully you guys got something from this, even though, like somebody says, we're hour in, but I gave a full, complete breakdown, and so that you fully understand sizing when it comes to creating your designs and creating your files, especially if you're going to send it off to someone. Incredible afternoon. I'm sitting here watching the older greatest videos, and here you are live. Now I got to go back and watch the first hour of this one. All right. So that means we are all clear. No questions, no concerns, no feedback. Hopefully this video has served you well. Bookmark it, save it. If you're watching over on YouTube, on Honestly Speaking or 365 Creative Academy, or even Silhouettes Anonymous, if you're watching it there for Silhouette, make sure that you go ahead and you save this to a playlist for yourself. These are important lessons that you need to go back to. Make sure that you take notes on when you're watching this back again. Get a pen and paper, take notes, and take advantage of the conversion chart that I created. I do have to go in and update it. So I don't know how I think it will automatically send out an email for the updated version, but I do have to update that because I didn't realize that my 200 was off until just then. All right. All right, y'all. Well, I thank y'all so very much for hanging out with me for an hour today. If you are someone who is trying to level up your business, our enrollment for the creative business program, it's still open. It will close soon because we would have gone through too much, unless you are somebody who is very, very disciplined and you will go back and actually watch the previous ones and not just wait for the upcoming lives. So that's you and you're very disciplined. It's kind of after the fact, you're like, okay, I need this information. Just kind of message me. But the open enrollment for that will close pretty soon. And we're going over everything if you are really serious about wanting to just learn. So you have to be in the process of going from a hobby to a business, going from a crafter to a professional business, just to get that information and to understand the mindset shifts, understand how pricing works, understanding marketing and branding, how to utilize Canva when it comes to taking your pictures, understanding descriptions and your weights. How do you ship without having to spend an arm and a leg on shipping? All of these different things are things that we discuss in the creative business program. So enrollment for that is open. You can join us for a month or 2 months. You can do the full year so that you have access to the playbacks, because it's a lot of information. It's a lot of information that you're going to need time to basically filter through and go through all of it. But on the other side of that is going to be a thriving side hustle or a sustainable business if you just do the work. Okay. All right. So with that being said, until next time, have a great one. Continue to unlock your creativity and be incredible. Peace.